Hello, welcome to our Ear Tech Talk informational session where we are featuring the Oticon More hearing aids. My name is Dr. Dawn Heiman, and we have a panelist of audiologists from all over, basically the East Coast and Midwest. And we have two experts from Oticon who we will also be meeting and featuring. So if you are here and you're eating your lunch or you're having a snack, please practice using the chat on the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. That is your way of communicating with us and asking questions. So feel free to let us know where in the world you are right now and what you're snacking on. We have a lot of information to go through over the next hour, and we want to make sure that you have the ability to ask questions as you think of them. So we won't be pausing the presentation for your question. We will be making note of it, however. So if someone says something about batteries or battery life, and you're thinking, I want to ask a question about that, type it in the chat right away, and we will read it later and address it after the presentation, okay? So we have Nancy Beth, welcome from Palm Harbor, Florida. And Dr. Karen Toole is from Cedar Falls, Iowa. And we have Kim and Betty. Excellent. Kim and Betty, where are you in the world right now? We have a whole group of people. It looks like we're at the top of the hour. Oh, Paul, you're in Joliet. Welcome. Oh, Kim is in Beaufort, South Carolina. Excellent. I like that you know who your audiologist is also, Dr. Meg Clady. So without further ado, I'd like to get the presentation started. Oh, we have Dr. Meg Clady's father all the way from Arvada, Colorado. Welcome, Jim. How exciting is that? Yay. I would like to introduce our panelists today. They are a group of audiologists that I meet with personally. We all get to meet together in a mastermind, and we talk about how we can best meet our patient needs. We are all private practice owners. And the first person I would like to bring up is Dr. Anne Marie Olson. And she is from Sophisticated Hearing in, pronounce it for me, please, Hohokus, New Jersey. And she is a private practitioner that not only has, you have your master's degree and your PhD and Correct. Your AOD. Wow. So she's, if you are in the New Jersey area, she's exceptional. And I'm glad that you're here. Thank you. Next, I'd like to introduce Dr. Mary Margaret Griffin. She is at the Hearing Connection. It's a private practice in Massapequa, New York. Hello, Mary Margaret. And I know that there are several people here on the call that are in her area on Long Island that is a patient of hers. So thank you for coming.
Thank you, everyone.
Next, we have, I believe, Dr. Nancy Dottino, but I'm not sure if she was able to get on the call yet. So we'll introduce her later. She's in Rye, New York. We have Dr. Meg Clady from Clady Audiology in Beaufort, South Carolina.
Thanks, Dad.
Hello. And as many of you know, with her Philadelphia accent, she's originally from Philly, Pennsylvania. We have Dr. Sharon Rofi, who is, her practice is Harbor Hearing in Palm Harbor, Florida. And I know many of you are here on the call that's from the Florida area, so welcome. Thank you, Dr. Rofi. And lastly, I'd like to introduce our experts. We have Dr. Megan Mapes and Dr. Karen Toole, who are from Oticon. Dr. Megan Mapes will be presenting today on the latest in the technology for the Oticon More product, which is so fantastic. So I appreciate you coming, Dr. Megan Mapes. I want to call her Megan. So she and I are good friends, and we used to work together for years. So she actually offered me my first job. She looks super duper young, but she's actually older than me. Sorry. And then we have Dr. Karen Toole, who is our regional audiologist here in the Midwest for my practice. So she's our expert here, and she will be fielding our questions at the end. Okay. So what I would like you all to do is just know that this is an educational webinar. We want to give you the insider's view into the latest hearing aid technology. And in order to learn your best, we would appreciate if you just turn off all distractions and stay with us till the end, because we have some bonuses for you. But I am speaking for all of us who are the practitioners. We all believe in making sure that you're heard, and that when you sit down with us, we're listening to your concerns and what you're struggling with. And we want to take you through a process of evaluating you and treating you that has been proven. We want to reduce your overwhelm, and we want to make sure that your journey is unique, where it's tailored to you, but we're not just doing things on the fly. There's a reason behind every step that we take you through in our office. And that first step is making sure that you can schedule your appointment well. We schedule the appointment times so that you have the ability to share your story, but also so that we can make sure that we diagnose you correctly. We might have you fill out some paperwork ahead of time. And I know it's a pain, but it really is important so that we are spending quality time with you in the appointments time that was scheduled. So we're listening with you, we're learning, and then we're also teaching you about your ears and your hearing. And that includes a comprehensive history. We're all using best practices. We're following up with you, and we want to take a long-term care approach. This is not something where you just buy something in a store and you go home. It's way bigger than that. So your first appointment with us, if you've ever been in one of our practices, usually includes that comprehensive history, listening to what medications you're taking, what your medical background was, where you work, what your listening situation is, and then making certain that we diagnose you correctly, giving you copies of your hearing test results because they are your medical record, and giving you the option to correct your hearing, sometimes even that day. When you start with listening to the new technology, it starts your rehab process of being able to start hearing better. Putting on hearing aids is a long process of retraining the brain and remembering what sounds sound like, or hearing them for the first time. And it's not an overnight process. So we also, with that trial, want to make sure that we choose the best option for you, depending on whether you can feel your fingertips, how your vision is, how well you can put the devices on. We consider the masks and all of that good stuff. Dr. Nancy Dottino, welcome.
Hi, thank you. It's so nice.
She's in Rye, New York, and I know a lot of your patients are here. Thank you. And I know you were with a patient, so you had to jump on late, but welcome. I'm just going to mute your microphone and your camera, okay? Dr. Dottino, let me see. Here we go. I'm going to try to shut off your camera.
Do you want me to try on my...
Awesome. Okay, great. Now, we are big on using best practices, including validating and verifying everything we do, including real ear measurement. Something you buy online does not physically touch the person, and we definitely cannot test how the sounds are in your ear canals, so we can fine tune the products correctly. And that's really important in our processes. And then also making certain that you know what your homework is and giving you procedures to follow to hear your best. Because we know that real integrity is doing the right thing, and knowing that nobody's going to know whether we did it or not. We truly believe in using best practices and making certain that we do the hard stuff too, and not just say, how does that sound? We're going to validate what you're hearing in our office with whatever products we're using. But when it comes to choosing quality devices, I think a lot of us would agree that Oticon is an excellent option. They have amazing products, and I would like to introduce Dr. Megan Mapes, who's going to tell us about she's going to geek out on for us of how wonderful this particular latest hearing aid is, the Oticon More.
and welcome, welcome. Settle in. If you're just getting settled with your coffee and your lunch, go right ahead. We don't see your camera, so don't worry about that. So what we're going to talk about today is our new product that we just came out with and just released in January. It's called the Oticon More. So at Oticon, one of the reasons that I love working for Oticon, and yes, Dawn and I worked together many, many years ago, and I've been in clinic for 22 years, and now I work for the company Oticon. It was a really natural progression for me because I really loved what Oticon stood for. One of their biggest philosophies is called brain hearing philosophy. So what does that mean? When we develop our products and when we do our research, what we're always looking at is what is actually happening in the brain with our hearing devices. And that's how we structure our research, and that's really our primary focus in developing new products. Our goal at Oticon aligns with all the audiologists in this group, which is why this is a really nice partnership, because our goal at Oticon is to preserve good cognitive function as long as we possibly can. And I've met with all the audiologists. I know some of them personally in this group, and I know that they have that same goal for you. So we want you to be able to continue to be active. We want you to continue to be healthy and do what you want to do, and give your brain as much information as we possibly can in a really good, clean, clear signal so that you can continue on doing what you want to do. So we're going to talk about the newest product today called the Oticon More, but rest assured, if for some reason the More does not work for you, we have other product lines. So there are other things that might work for you if you need something for a severe hearing loss, or you have one ear that's not functioning, or you're a child, or you have a child that has hearing loss. We have a full product line. That's why I encourage you to come into the office, meet with the audiologist, and let them customize and tailor the solution for you. The audiologists that you're working with are not cookie cutter. They're not going to just go and say, okay, this is the one thing for you and only for you, and everybody else is going to get the same thing. This is a very customized, personalized approach that they're going to sit down with you, figure out your different situations, figure out some limitations that you might have and might not have, and make sure that they help you pick the device that you are comfortable with. So it's a team approach. You're very, very much involved in the fitting process. So here's an example of somebody with hearing loss. He's sitting there trying to listen to his family, and it's kind of blurry and fuzzy. So this technology is called directional technology. This came out about 20 some years ago, and it was groundbreaking when it came out. It was the first time in our marketing that we were allowed to say that we had proof to help people hear better in noise. But as I said to you, at Oticon, we're always looking to see, okay, what's this doing in the brain? And we felt that just hearing what was coming from the front is a very limiting signal, and the brain doesn't function that way. The brain really wants access to sounds coming from all around. If you have normal hearing, you know that you will hear sounds coming from all around you. So we developed in 2016 a product called the Open. So that product does focus on what's coming from the front, but it does still also give you access to sounds coming from all around you. So that was developed in 2016. It has been a groundbreaking product. We still use this technology in our product lines. But as I said, we're always doing research. We're looking to see what we can do that might be different and better. So that's when we developed the Oticon More, which is what we're going to talk about today. So it took us years and years and years and years of research to come up with this product. Because as I said, the Open product was very, very successful. People do really, really well with it. So it took a while to find something that was actually better. So you might say, okay, so what's the big deal about it? So we have something on board the hearing aid that's called DNN. So DNN stands for a deep neural network. We are the first company to be able to have something like this on board the chip of the hearing aid. So no one else is doing this. Other companies have something called artificial intelligence. This is a form of this, but nobody's been able to figure out how to put this technology and make it small enough that it's actually on board the actual hearing aid. So what does this mean? Well, let me tell you what we did. We went out before COVID with a round microphone that was shaped like a disco ball, and it had microphones all around it. We sampled 12 million different sound samples from all different environments. We went into subways, restaurants, schools, homes, all of these different environments, and sampled 12 million different sound samples. So we took all of that information, we brought it back to the lab, and we then put it into computer systems with scientists, engineers, audiologists, and we trained that system to look for phonemes. So phonemes are speech. So this system is trained in every language in the world because it's trained on phonemes. So we trained the system to look for the patterns of speech, which are the phonemes. So that is something that we did on the back end. No one else has been able to figure out a way to do this. So what does this mean to you? Besides being able to say, okay, that's really cool that you are the only company that has that right now. Well, as I said, our goal is to preserve your cognitive function. Our goal is for you to be able to hear with less effort. So because we took that system and we trained it to look specifically for phonemes, that little computer chip that's behind your ears is going to be constantly analyzing every environment that you're in. And when it says, oh, that's a phoneme, that's speech, it prioritizes it and it puts it in the front. And then when it says that's noise, it's going to say, okay, that person still needs to hear that, but it's going to be a little bit more in the background. Our product is called the More, and what people that have been using it have been saying is, wow, I'm aware of a lot more information, ironically, but I'm not bothered by it. So they're conscious that there's more sounds coming in from all around them, but they're not annoyed by them. They're just there. But when someone is speaking, that's going to pop and really come up towards the front. So when the world opens back up again, we want you to be able to just reconnect with your friends and family members, go out, have dinner, go to weddings, go to parties, and just be able to enjoy life again, but not have to work as hard, not have to think about your hearing loss. Just put your hearing aids on and continue about your day. So I'm going to go into some research. This is something that I really pride in that this is what we do at Oticon, is we always have research to back up our products. And as I said, it took a while for us to come up with this new product because we wanted to make sure that we could back up what we were saying. So how did we do that? So this is really interesting. With our brain hearing philosophy, we wanted to see what was happening in the brain with our actual hearing aids. So we did an EEG study, which was able to see the strength of the brain. So whenever it was responding to a speech signal. So if you look at those two lines, the gray line says Oticon Open S. That was our product line that we had right before the More. We did EEG studies with the Open S and got fabulous results with that. So I wasn't sure, were we going to be able to do better than that? Because those were really good results. When we did the EEG study with the More, we found a 30% increase of the strength of the EEG in the brain in response to the speech signal. So that is something we're really proud of. And this is also very interesting. If you've ever had an evaluation for memory, if they're testing for cognitive function, one of the tests that they do is somebody has to listen to a sentence and repeat back the last word of the sentence. So that's short-term memory. That's pretty easy. Then you have to go back and remember what all those words were that you just repeated. And that's where I tank. I've actually done this before. It's really, really hard. So we found a 15% increase in people's ability to be able to do that test with the more versus with the open S. So you might say, I don't get it. What's the connection there? The connection there is because that sound coming in is clearer, it's more efficiently getting to the part of the brain where the brain can pull the information back out again. That's why this increase was seen, because the information was flowing more freely and able to be pulled out and used again. So these are really, really significant studies. And as I said at Oticon, we will not put out a product unless we can prove it's better than what we already have on the market. That's just our philosophy. So our goal at Oticon, and the goal of all the professionals that are on here that you work with, is that you can continue to reconnect, enjoy your family members, and not have to worry about your hearing loss. The other thing that is really, really important is being able to have your devices customized. So if you were to pick up the phone right now and order a hearing aid off of something you saw on TV or off of eBay, and it gets sent to your house, it's not really customized to you individually. So having a professional that's going to sit down with you and really personalize it to what you like and what you don't like, that is really, really, really important. Dr. Heiman talked in the very beginning about doing realer measurements, and we firmly stand behind that. That's the first step. But everybody has a little bit of a different preference. Maybe you like it to be a little bit smoother. Maybe you like the sound to be a little bit sharper. That is the process that the audiologists are going through with you to make sure that it's customized to you individually. And that's something you're not going to get if you click something online or just order something off of TV. So this is customized to your preferences, in addition to the best practices of having it fit to your prescription using a realer measure. But how about what you prefer and what you don't prefer? So I got a new TV recently. My father has the same TV, and we were on the phone adjusting the settings. And he's like, oh, press that button, change the settings. And it was like this yellowish color. And he was like, oh, doesn't that look so great? It's so easy on your eyes. I was like, no. And then I changed it to like the sharper, brighter. That was my way of customizing that TV to what I liked, which was different from what my dad liked. Same exact TV. So being able to come in, work with your professional so it is customized to your preferences is a very, very important step in this process. So at Oticon, we are able to take your hearing aids and connect them to other devices because they have Bluetooth connectivity. This is something you don't have to do if this is something you're not interested in. That's okay. If you don't want it to connect to your phone or you only have a landline, you absolutely can function beautifully with these hearing aids by just putting them in and not touching anything. But if this is something that is really interesting to you and you really like to have that control, then we have those options also. So we are compatible with iPhone and with Android. So that is something based upon your phone. Your audiologist will help you look and make sure that your model of phone is compatible, and they'll help you get it connected and make sure that it's working appropriately. We also have the ability with these hearing aids to connect to a TV, to connect to a computer, a landline, a remote control. There's many, many different devices that can be connected to your hearing aids. So we're in this crazy time right now where we're watching a lot of TV. Unfortunately, this is our life right now. So this is a box that you could hook up to your television. It will be paired by your audiologist to your hearing aid. So you're sitting watching TV, and let's say you just want more of a surround sound type of experience. You can push the button on the back of the hearing aid, Or you just pick up your phone, go to the app on your phone, and you can press that little TV box. And what that's going to do is that's going to take that signal and put it directly into your ears. You are still going to hear your friends and family members around you. They will still hear the TV, but you have some control. You have an equalizer. You can adjust the volume up and down. You can make it sound however you want to make it sound, individual to you, and not worry about anybody else. I have a patient I was just talking to, he got this, and he said, I can't wait to hook it up. My wife goes to bed so early, and I want to be able to have the TV as loud as I want and not worry about keeping her awake. So that's a great example of how you could utilize something like this. This is the app that we have. So if you are someone that does want to use your phone, you can go to this app to make adjustments on your volume. You can make adjustments to different programs. You can equalize the sound. There's many, many different things that you can do through this app. This is something called a Connect clip. It's an external microphone. It's just a teeny tiny little thing. That's something you can use as a remote control, or you can use it as an actual mic. So let's say that you were driving in the car and you have somebody in the back seat that you really struggle with. They could wear that mic and you would hear them. Or let's say you do a small Bible group with your friends and the main speaker is really hard for you to hear. You would just ask them to clip that mic on. My favorite example is yoga. So in yoga, a lot of times you close your eyes. So if you're somebody that's a visual learner, you can really have a hard time following that conversation because your eyes are closed and you're in Shavasana and you want to hear what's going on, but you can't see them. If you ask the instructor, could you wear this mic for me? They're not going to care. It's this teeny tiny little thing. And then the instructor's voice is going to go right to your ears. So this is a way that this could be really, really valuable to your experience. If you're really fancy, like on Get Smart, you could actually make your adjustments right there on your watch. So if you don't want to go back to your ear or pick up your phone, you simply look down at your watch and you can make program and volume adjustments right from your watch. And we do have models that are rechargeable. So if you don't want to deal with having to change a battery, you simply just put the hearing aids in that little charger at night when you're sleeping, wake up in the morning, they're ready to go. It only takes 3 hours to get a full charge. Very, very, very simple, very easy to do. And something that's unique about our hearing aids is your provider can change that battery in-house whenever that battery needs to be changed. So that's something a little bit different, something you might want to think about. Most of the other hearing aid companies use a lithium ion that has to be taken out by the manufacturer. We let the professionals do it in office. So that's a really cool convenience factor with these hearing aids. So remote care, this is something that was kind of in the market a little bit, and then COVID hit. So now everybody's doing telehealth. So this is an option that is available to you through Oticon. And basically what would happen is you would get on your phone, you would just tap a couple buttons, and then you would see your audiologist's face right there on your phone. So let's say you had to go into the hospital and you couldn't get into the office, you needed an adjustment, you could go to that app and they would be able to help make adjustments to your hearing aids for you just right through the convenience of your phone. So you're actually seeing your audiologist's face and they're seeing your face and they're in the computer making adjustments for you while you're home or in the hospital or at work. If you just want to make a quick adjustment on your lunch break, you can do something like that with that app. So in conclusion, our goals at Oticon really align with the goals of all the audiologists that are here today, in that we want you to be able to understand speech without having to work so hard. We want you to be able to go back into these noisy environments, reconnect with your friends and family members that you miss so extremely much, and just enjoy being in their presence. We want you to be motivated and empowered to be able to get back out and participate and go to your church groups and go to your bingo groups and be with your family members and do everything that you want to do without feeling like, oh, I don't really want to go because of my hearing loss. We don't want you to feel that way. We want to give you solutions so you can continue to do the things that you love to do. Hearing care is healthcare. So this is a really, really important step in the right direction that we want you to think about today. Hearing aids were never made to be ordered off the computer or on TV. This is really a process for you to be working with a professional that is also able to monitor your hearing health. So along the lines, as you're working with your professional, they're going to monitor if there's anything else medically going on with your ears. They know when they need to send you on to a referral to an ENT, to maybe a neurologist, back to your family doctor. This is a part of the partnership that you have with the professionals that you work with. So I want you to understand that when you do decide to move forward, if you haven't already, to getting a hearing aid, it's not a one-time thing. It's not like you're going to get a pair of tires and then you never go back again for 5 years. This is a process and a journey that you are on with your professional, and they're going to monitor you and they're going to know when something else is going on. So rest assured that this is a partnership and a journey that you're on with this professional, and they're going to keep their eyes on you. You're going to go in periodically to have things cleaned, to have your ears checked, to have your hearing checked, to make sure everything is doing what it's supposed to be doing. So the next steps is we want to make sure that we get you in, that you schedule an appointment, decide what your treatment options are. If you already have hearing aids, maybe seeing if there's something new out there for you. Maybe the More is a good option for you. If you don't really have anything yet, then that's a really great time for you to come in, get your baseline, understand what your options are. But the biggest thing that I always did in clinic, and also really aligns with the professionals on the call today, is being able to let you listen to them. It's a really important thing for you to feel comfortable being like, okay, what does it feel like? I've never had anything in my ears like that. What is that feeling like? And what is that sound going to be like? That is one of the things that I loved about being in clinic, especially whenever I was in clinic and I was working with Oticon, is people would put them on. And at first they were like, oh, wow, this is a lot. And then as we continued to talk and just go about the rest of our appointment, many times at the end, they forgot that they were actually wearing them. It's just a really natural sound quality and something very easy and simple for you to get adjusted to. And that's really our goal, is for your brain to acclimate and really just allow you to continue on with your life and not have to worry about your hearing loss. So let's go ahead and open the floor for questions.
I've got 4 questions that I've written down from the chat. The first one is from Paul, and he says, I am deaf on one side. Should I only get one hearing aid?
That is a really, really good question, Paul. And it's really funny that you're asking that, because at 1 o'clock today, I have an all afternoon presentation with students from New York, and we're actually talking about that question. And what I'm advising the students is the same thing I'm going to advise you, in that you really have to try it. So you really won't know until you've done a trial on that ear to see if you're getting any benefit from that ear. I think people are a lot of times real quick to see that it's not a great ear and say, oh, wow, can't do anything with that. My philosophy always was in clinic, and I'm going to say the same things to the students this afternoon, you don't really know till you try. So once you've tried something in that ear and you can really determine if it's giving you help or is it making it worse for you and harder for you, that's something only you and the professional are going to know when you work together in that situation. But you're in good hands, so I'm glad you asked that question.
Great question. The next question I have is from Rebecca. She is asking, how is this different from the current Oticon device?
Very, very good question. So, Rebecca, we still have the same brain hearing philosophy, and we are still focusing on the sounds coming from all around. But because we have that deep neural network on board the chip of the hearing aid, it's a different way of processing. We also have a new platform called Polaris, which is just faster, has better resolution. So it's really just a step up in the different direction. It's something we've been working on research-wise for years and years and years. And I encourage you to come in and try it. Even if you have the latest version of Oticon, people are still coming in and trying it. And maybe you're not ready today, but at least you'll know what's out there. It's the same thing with me with my phone. I go in and I'm like, oh, they just released a new phone and I just got mine. I still like to go in and play with it and see what I'm going to be looking forward to when I'm ready to upgrade. So it doesn't hurt to come in and still listen to it, really have an idea of what it's all about.
Perfect. The next question is from Rod. He asks, what happens if you're in a crowded room with lots of people talking?
A really, really good question. Hardest situation for sure that we all struggle with, even people with normal hearing. So that's where that DNN, which has been programmed to say, okay, this is speech, this is a phoneme, this is coming from the front, I'm going to prioritize that. And then this is noise. So it's been trained to detect the difference between speech and noise. And it will prioritize the speech, put it more towards the front. So it has something called balance and contrast, where that balance is saying, okay, this is important. I'm going to put this up here. This is noise. I'm going to bring this more towards the back.
Awesome. The next one is actually a comment from Paul. He stated, I wish we could program aids to focus on one word, my name. So regardless of where the person is standing, if they say my name, I will hear it and be able to turn toward that person. Great comments. I just wanted to point that out. With the way that DNN is working and advancing, that could be something that we are able to do in the future. At this point, no hearing aid can do that and be able to program just one specific word, but I have hopes for what could be coming now that we have DNN and hearing instruments.
But I also want to add to that, Paul, in that they have shown research studies where they've actually looked at the auditory pathways, any of you that are moms out there, and there is a stronger pathway in your brain to connect you to the sound of your child's voice or to the sound of the word mom. Like if somebody yells mom in a crowd, 50 people all turn around. So there is some science behind that. So some of that may be happening, Paul, in your brain on its own over time. So that has been shown. There are research studies to show that.
The next question is from Francis. Can you say more about remote adjustments? And does that include software updates?
Ooh, good question. Who asked that, Karen?
That is from Francis.
Okay, Francis. So the remote care is a situation where, yes, you would get on just, honestly, it's just like this. They're going to see you and you're going to see them, and they're getting into the computer and making adjustments to the volume, to programs, anything that you want fine-tuned. They can do that right then and there. Software increases, like whenever we have an update in the software, that's not able to be done in Oticon remotely yet. Maybe in the near future. I think I might have heard a rumor that might happen, but not yet. Not yet. So if there is a software update, just like what we get on the phone, you would come into the office and they would be able to make that update for you in the office. But otherwise, everything else can pretty much be done remotely. It's also really nice, Francis, if you're having a situation where you're struggling hearing somebody at home only, but you know you're in the office with the audiologist and it sounds great, and then you go home and you're struggling in a certain situation. That's where telehealth can help, because you can be home in your living room and making adjustments for that situation specifically, and you couldn't do that if you were in the office where it's super quiet.
Great. The next question from Naomi. My husband walks away from me talking. I hear him but can't understand him. How can these hearing instruments help?
Really good question. And it really depends upon the amount of hearing loss you have. It is always difficult when there's distance. And whenever the sound gets further away, it decreases in volume, and then all the reverberation adds in distortion. I have a really cool story, it might make you cry, that really relates to what you were saying. We have a customer that we work with that's up in North Jersey, and because of COVID, the daughter was dropping food off at his doorstep every single day for the last year. And every day she would knock on the door and be like, "Dad, your food's here," and she would say through the door, "Daddy, I love you," and he never responded. She didn't really put two and two together. And then he got the new hearing aids, so he got them more, and she did the same thing, knocks on the door, tells him his food's there, tells him, "Daddy, I love you." And I'm gonna cry. And he responded back, "I love you too, baby." And that's the first time he had ever heard her through the distance of that door. And he had hearing aids before. So that to me was a tribute to the ability to be able to hear at a further distance with these. I will also tell you, though, I'm not being unrealistic and giving you unrealistic expectations. Sometimes there are situations with distance, if you have a certain amount of hearing loss, that it might still be a difficult situation. So I had a patient years ago that lived in a small house. She had a really significant hearing loss, and her husband really got so frustrated with her. So that little microphone that we talked about earlier, that little remote mic, it's just that tiny, tiny little thing, he would wear that in the house. I know it sounds a little bit much, but that was a solution for them because he got so frustrated about the distance issue. So he wore that little mic in the house, so wherever he was in the house, she could still hear him. So that's kind of a little bit of a different solution, but it does work. It does work.
Good. The next question is from Carol. Do the directional microphones help how one hear themselves?
I don't think so. I don't know. Karen, can you answer this one?
Well, I believe all hearing instruments help with hearing how you perceive your own voice. With many people who are wearing hearing aids, when you're not hearing yourself properly, it creates that disconnect of your own person. And once you're wearing the hearing instruments, you actually hearing yourself twice over, both while you're speaking and the vibrations of your own skull, but also when it hits the microphones of the hearing aid. So it does help change the perception of how well you hear yourself, and to be able to monitor and even remember your own conversations out loud with other people.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I got thrown off by that one. I had to really think about that. It was really making me dig into my brain on that one.
The next question is from Karen, not me. How long do batteries stay charged? How long before they need to be replaced? And what type of batteries do we use?
Okay, Karen, I'm going to defer to you on one of those questions because it's not coming into my head. Battery life, I can talk about as far as how long they last. Average life is about 2.5 years. Our warranty is for 3 years. So we will have you get that battery changed before the warranty expires. So then you'll get another 2.5 years. So essentially you're getting 5 years worth of batteries from Oticon at no charge, because you'll get it changed beforehand. And that's also where I had pointed out when we talked about those batteries, it's a huge convenience factor that your professional can change that battery for you in the office, rather than saying, "Oh, this is embedded in the hearing aid, I have to send it out. Now you'll be without it. You have to pay a couple $100 and then wait for it to come back." This allows the professional the flexibility to be able to change it in the office. Karen, can you answer the hours per day? Because I can't remember that.
So that actually depends on, how much of a hearing loss you have, how much of a drain you're getting on the battery. But on average, we're seeing anywhere between 20 to 24 hours of battery life daily. thanks to one of our coworkers, Matt, who really pushed it to the limits. And that is including 8 full hours of streaming, so it's not affecting your daily battery life. So you should be able to get through your entire day, no matter how crazy it is, with 1 full charge of battery life.
And I have to attest to that too, because I don't know if you heard this the other day, Karen, that somebody wasn't able to use power because of a religious holiday. And so they were able to get that rechargeable hearing aid to last them. I think it was 1 hour short of what they needed. So it was 24. I think they were 1 hour short. So it was like 23 or 24 hours that they got out of that battery.
Awesome. The next question is from Dave, and he asks, how do they handle the distraction of tinnitus?
Ooh, really, really good question. So in my previous location, we were close to a military base. So we saw a lot of patients that came in specifically for tinnitus due to noise exposure, due to blasts and things like that. So they would come in just specifically for tinnitus. And many times, just the amplification alone really took care of that for them, because the tinnitus is often in a range where you have the loss. That's where you're usually hearing that sound. So now you're bringing in all of these new sounds in that same frequency range, which usually distracts your brain then from hearing that ringing. So a lot of times with the military people that I saw, just the amplification alone was enough to help. But if that is not enough, then your audiologist can put in different programs for you that you could adjust either from a push button or on the app of your phone, where you could decide what sounds are more pleasing to you, and you could adjust the volume of those sounds so that that will help blend in the sound of your tinnitus. My favorite one was the ocean sound, so I would completely zone out and pretend I was at the beach, and you can do that on the hearing aid or on the phone. Put the beach on, and that will blend in with that sound and hopefully distract your brain from tinnitus. Great question, though.
The next question is from Robert. What is the expected life of the product?
Ooh, another good question. You guys are good. Are these people planted in here? These are really good questions. So my standard answer, even whenever I was fitting, average life of a hearing aid is about 3 to 5 years. Can you push the limits of it? Of course you can. But what I found with most people whenever they came in around 3 to 5 years is they were ready to try something new. A lot of times then, they might have some more repairs, because it is a teeny tiny electrical device that you're wearing all day. It's exposed to sweat, it's exposed to hair, it's exposed to moisture, it's in your ear, so it's exposed to things like that. So usually around 3 to 5 years is what I would plan for as far as when you might want to upgrade.
Excellent.
I've seen people push it 10 years, but I can't say that they were necessarily listening to the best sound quality 10 years later.
The next question we have is from Naomi, and she is asking, what about use while swimming?
Oh, not yet, Naomi. I wish. The problem, there are ways that you can actually cover the hearing aid, but the receiver still has to go into the ear. So there's no way that you can actually cover that device, because it's still going to be laying in your ear. So they are sweat resistant. They have what's called an IP68 rating, which is very, very good for moisture and sweat. So it's good in that situation, but you're not going swimming with it yet. I wish, but it's just not possible.
I will also add to that, Naomi. So if you are in a pool and you are doing water aerobics, exercises, it is okay to wear your hearing instruments securely because of the IP68 rating. You just don't want to completely submerge your head. I've had lots and lots of patients over the years wear their hearing aids that have higher IP ratings, which is your ingress protection. Everything that has exposure to moisture has to have some sort of protection for that. And yes, many patients are wearing them in hot tubs or in swimming pools with no damage or issue.
Oh, they're so much better than they were. I mean, I knew kids sometimes that would have to dehumidify them in the middle of the day, and we've come such a long way with that, for sure.
Absolutely. The next question we have is from Paul. He is asking, does the advanced technology in aids today more or less function as hearing continues to decline, even approaching profound?
Really, really, really good question also. I hate to keep saying that, but you guys really are keeping me on my toes. It can be reprogrammed as your hearing changes. The other thing that can be changed as your hearing loss gets, if it gets really significant, is you can change the receiver, which is the piece that's in your ear, and you can make that more powerful. And then they can put a different type of a mold on the end of it that also is really, really powerful. So we can go into some pretty significant hearing loss ranges, even with the little wire. You just might have to have a bigger mold in the ear to prevent the sound from leaking out. That's why you have to have that bigger mold. But yeah, I've seen some really significant losses in these models. It's just a matter of changing the hardware. And as long as you're still under warranty, that wire is covered. It's just you might need to pay for a different type of an ear mold. That might not be covered, but you're not going to necessarily have to get new ones if you had a significant change. A lot of times it can be adjusted for you.
For really, really extreme, severe, profound hearing loss, we do have a line of hearing instruments that is specifically for you, especially for those who have been wearing hearing aids for a very long time. We haven't been highlighting that one, but it's called the Exceed line, and it goes up to your hearing loss that goes all the way down to like 120 decibels. So really, really powerful hearing aid to be able to accommodate the needs of those with profound hearing loss, because they're an exceptional group. The next question.
We've had a lot of people try that and been so extremely satisfied with that,
Yes.
with that device.
Yes. The next question is from Naomi. She's asking cost for updates, trade-ins for newer model, and I think we might want to bring in the rest of the panel and see if any other audiologists want to answer that question.
And how I always answered that question too is really, that's where you really do have to come in and meet with your professional, because everybody has completely different lines and they really are going to find what's best for you. So I really couldn't give you a cost not knowing what your hearing loss is, how much you need. But if Amory, if you would like to chime in on that, go for it.
Of course. One thing I would recommend to our audience is that the More is available in 3 different level technologies. So if you're looking for the More 1, which is the highest level, which will be the most expensive, there's also the More 2 and the More 3, which is a lower level of technology, but you still get that exact same Polaris chip. So there should be a technology level for different kinds of price budgets.
Yes. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yeah, and what I really advocate is that's where you have to work with your professional and be honest and say, you know, this is all I can do, and they're going to find something that's right for you. But yes, really, really good point is that the device that I talked about today just does not come in one level. There are different levels, and if that still doesn't work, we do have an economy line that we can work with you. So there's a lot of choices. Don't feel bad and uncomfortable about this. This is where this is a part of the partnership that you are developing, where you're coming in and working with the professional and really letting them guide you as far as what you're comfortable with.
The next question from Frida. How are users notified of any software upgrades?
Ooh, when you come into the office, that's why it's important that you do come in on a periodic basis and meet with your audiologist to have your hearing aids cleaned and checked. They're going to hook it up to the software at that point in time, and they get an alert. And with our newest model, you can do that without any cords and wires, and that software update takes 3 minutes from beginning to end. So it's super, super, super fast. But that's a part of you coming in for your maintenance, your cleaning, your checkup. They're always going to check for those updates for you. These are awesome questions. Seriously.
I can't wait to ask the next one from Carol. Were these aids tested in rooms with poor acoustics, i.e. high ceilings and hard surfaces? If so, do they improve the hearing and understanding?
Go ahead, Karen. You love that
I
question.
love
Go
the
for it, girl.
question because the answer is yes. Within those 12 million sand samples that we fed our DNN, we brought it into every type of situation. We brought it into museums. We brought them into restaurants, kitchens, high ceilings, hard surfaces, and we taught them what speech is supposed to hear or sound like in every single one of those environments. So the Moore is smart enough to know what to do when you walk into that room, and it does it very, very fast. So I'm really excited about that question. It was an awesome one.
I know you were like a little kid. That's why I let you go with it.
Let's see. Hold on, there were a couple of comments about Paul interested in a bicross, which Meg was very good to be able to answer those through. And then Janet, in relation to other hearing devices, is there an enormous cost differential?
No, I mean, really, I feel, and Karen, you can tell me if I'm right or wrong in this, at least in my practice, I think it's probably pretty similar.
Yes.
It's not going to be, you're going to go with one company, it's going to be up here, and the other company is going to be all the way down here. Everybody has different levels of technology. So that's what you really want to focus on. All the companies have the different price points. You're not necessarily getting the same thing in each price point. That's where your audiologist is going to help educate you. But it's not like there's the BMW of hearing aids that's like all the way up here in price and everybody else is down here. Everybody has different pricing levels. So that's, that's where you're going to get educated. But that's also a really good question.
Yes, it is. The next question was, is the Moore available with a bicross? And I tried to answer that, but I didn't see the Moore part, so I apologize for that, Paul. The Moore is not quite ready for the bicross system yet. We will be coming sometime in the future. Unfortunately, I don't have any dates for you. At this point, we have the bicross system in our open S line, which keeps the sound available to you at all times through both sides and allowing for you to be able to hear that 360-degree environment.
What I did hear, I think, and maybe I shouldn't say this out loud, what I did hear though is I think that if you were to get one more now and then the cross comes later, it should still work with that. Yeah. So if you decide, okay, I'm going to move forward with the more now, okay, I shouldn't say rumors like that. This is recorded, but I was pretty sure that I heard that if you get the cross whenever it comes out, whenever, it will still work with this technology. So.
Yes, I heard that as well. So
I'm telling my secrets.
The next question from Alexander is, when do you expect to have this technology in the IIC models?
Oh, that's another good question. There's a lot of things that they don't tell us. They'll tell us that things are on the docket and in development, but we don't have any dates for that yet. I don't even know if they know exactly when. So we hear you. Oh, trust me, we hear you. And we're advocating for you. We just don't have a date yet.
The next question from Naomi is, any benefits from Medicare yet?
Not yet. That's another thing that we hear you, and we are advocating. There are audiologists that do go to DC and really work to try to lobby to have that changed. I will say, honestly, as I said, I've been practicing for goodness almost 25 years now. We do have a lot more people that do have some benefits. 22 years ago, that wasn't even a discussion. Nobody had any benefits. So people are making progress in that, and that's where you meet with your professional and just figure out if you have anything like that. But it's not there yet, but it's not like we're not trying, for sure.
Naomi, I would also say discuss this with your audiologist as well, because each state's legislature is different and each state's Medicare programs are different. So I know that I have some benefits with Medicare Advantage in Illinois, where Megan might not have that on the East Coast. So yep, check with your provider. Naomi asked, what is the bicross system? And it looks like Dr. Olson answered that for her. So I will read that out and then we can add to it if we want to. Dr. Olson said, by-cross system is where a hearing aid is on one ear and a microphone on the other ear because the other ear has too much of a hearing loss to hear clearly. Good answer for that. Thank you so much, Dr. Olson. Looks like Janet made a comment about noise canceling on her device that has truly changed her life. I love that comment. Thank you. And Paul was asking about noise canceling on hearing aids because of that comment.
So that's where the DNN comes in, where, as I said, we train that chip with all those sound samples to know the difference between speech and noise and prioritize the speech and say, okay, this is speech, this is noise, the noise is going to be in the background. It will never cancel all the noise completely because that's not safe. So that's not going to happen, but it will bring it a little bit more towards the background.
Questions, and I'm
Dawn,
so
you have a lively group here.
I
Holy
do,
smokes.
and you know, I may be seeing Paul later today, actually. So he's a wonderful person, and thank you all for all that you've done. For Oticon to create this, for all of you who have shown up and came to learn today. I know we're getting at the top of the hour, and I can't thank Dr. Megan Mapes and Dr. Karen Toole for helping navigate these waters for us. There are so many questions. So I would agree with what they said. Ask your audiologist because depending on your unique cases, the answers might be a little bit different, or we know what your hearing loss is like, or we know what technology you're currently using and what your lifestyle is like. So I do encourage you to call your audiologist today to have this discussion, to maybe even demo the hearing aids. We are available for you. And I really appreciate everyone who's put in the time and the effort to do this. And yes, Paul, I can't wait to see you today. I'm so excited he's coming in because he is like, don't tell anybody, but one of my favorites. So sweet. All right. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. If it's sunny where you're at, please get outside. Enjoy the sunshine. If you can listen for the birds, please do. If you need us, we are here for you. And Oticon is allowing us to have some extra demos in our office so that you can listen too. All right. Thank you. Have a wonderful day. Bye.